Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we check in with the team from Garrison Brothers Distillery in High, Texas. My name is McNew. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Steve Akeley, along with our special guest, Garrison Brothers founder and owner, Dan Garrison, and master distiller, Donnis Todd.
Hey, gang, what's up?
Guys.
How you doing, Steve? How you doing, McNew?
Good. Things are well here. We've been really busy. We got a lot of cool things going on for sure. And I know you guys do too. So it's going to be fun talking to you guys today. We're gonna get into the company and all the great things that are happening and get into some specific questions. But before we get to that, let's just talk a little bit about today's world. What's going on with you guys and the pandemic? Are you guys open for tours or have you been shut down at any point? Just kind of fill us in where you're at.
Can I start, Donnis? That would be my second Moderna vaccination right there.
There you go. He's got the Band-Aid on. Yeah.
Right. We really weren't waiting to get vaccinated before we hit the road. The world has opened up completely in my eyes. I spent 2 weeks in Florida on the West Coast and the East Coast. It's real interesting in Florida how different the West Coast and the East Coast are. The West Coast is typically known for Midwesterners that go down there and retire. And the East Coast is known for folks from New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania that come down there to retire. And so the East Coast typically it's interesting. It's got a lot more senior citizens, it seems like, than the West Coast does. So on the West Coast, I couldn't find anybody wearing a mask anywhere. On the East Coast, everybody was still wearing a mask. And so even in one state, you can have two sides of the coin. So we've kickstarted this thing. We're right back into it. We've opened up for tours again. We're opening up our hospitality area for guests to come visit. Our gift shop is open. Our whiskey shack, our restaurant is open, and our bar is open. So we're wide open for business and looking forward to watching these restaurants get back on their feet all across the country. We've lost so many of our restaurant partners. I'm on the board of directors of the Texas Restaurant Association, and 35% of Texas restaurants have shut down completely. So
That's terrible.
We're going to support our partners, and we're going to get them back in business, and they're going to make a shit ton of money over the next year and a half because people are so excited to get out and do things again, and I'm one of them. So I'm heading tomorrow to South Texas for a Laredo, Harlingen, McAllen, Corpus trip, and then I turn around and I head to New York City after that, and then I head to Los Angeles after that. So just thrilled to be back in action.
Yeah, it does seem like all the events and things like that are coming back, and you just see such enthusiasm from people, even the ones that are months out. I see people buying tickets and holding up photos that they got tickets for, I don't know, the Kentucky Bourbon Festival or whatever. That's not even until September, but people are just so excited about doing things again, aren't they?
This economy is going to explode. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yes, pent up energy is getting ready to be unleashed, so should be good. Donnis, how about you? How has this affected and impacted your role at the distillery?
Yeah, a year ago in a month, early March, Garrison Brothers decided to pull in all of our traveling team and just take care of each other. And all those folks worked from home or came to the distillery and helped us. And almost all of our bourbon is bottled by volunteers, and we feed off the energy of those volunteers. And we have tours, 5 days a week where our friends are tired of hearing about it. So we're pretty excited to tell, a new group of 28 4 times a day. So we lost out on all that for over a year. And it's exciting to have our volunteers back, have tours back. And what we did as a team, a Garrison Brothers team, is we rolled up our sleeves and bottled our own damn bourbon. So, you always have to, I think you should always try to find some positive in every situation. And it did allow a lot of the Garrison Brothers team to coexist around a bottling table for almost 7 months and really get to know each other much more than just what role they typically do for us. They may be sales or a CFO or a marketing director, and we really got to know each other. So, that was a positive. So we got our bourbon bottled. We filled POs. People were drinking their asses off at home. So we were struggling to keep up. But as Dan said, we're open back up, and, it's nice to see the smiling faces back at the ranch, and we need the help.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that gives a little bit catch up what's going on right here, right now. What we'll do next, we'll take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to get into Garrison Brothers, talk about where they've come from, where they're at right now, and where they're going to be in the future. We'll do that in just a few.
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today we're talking to Dan Garrison and Donnis Todd of Garrison Brothers Distillery.
Yes, we have. So, Dan, you've been on the Bourbon Show before, our sister show. Both Dan and Donnis, you guys both have been on our virtual bourbon events. So we have a great working relationship with you. And I think our audience knows about you guys. But still, if you don't mind, take us a step back and tell us a little bit about the start of the company, how you guys got going.
Sure, Steve. We've loved the relationship with the ABV network. So really enjoy working with you guys. And anytime you want us on, I'm sure Donnis and I would be delighted to jump on board. We started the business illegally back in 2003. We started making bourbon through about 2007. Then we got this thing called a federal permit to distill alcohol, making us legal. 2008, we got a state permit to distill alcohol. 2010, we sold our first 2,000 bottles through 2 counties right there in Central Texas, Blanco and Gillespie County. And we sold about 2,000 bottles from 3 liquor stores, and they all sold out in 24 hours, which was kind of fun to watch. Since then, we've expanded greatly. We now have a team of 64 people. We have health insurance, we have vision, we have dental insurance. We're like a real company today. We've got all those. We've got a human resources director, a CFO. We've got about 30 people that are out in the field selling for us. We've got a whole team in California. We've got a whole team in Florida. Got a team in New York. Got a guy in Chicago now. So we kind of have this we're hell bent on domination of America by the end of next year. We're currently in 39 states across the country and 7 foreign countries. And look out, Europe, we're on the way.
So Dan, you mentioned something that I think is a really fun offshoot of being an entrepreneur, a business owner. And it's something that I have come into myself. I don't think I started out thinking about the impact on others' lives. I think I thought about making, entertainment for people because we're a media company and making shows and things like that. Education and entertainment was the focus. But then you start seeing, as you begin bringing people in the mix, the difference that you're making, and people become reliant on you a little bit to help them earn money for their careers. And obviously 64 people, that's a big amount of families that you're impacting. How rewarding is that versus the other part of the business, which is making a distilled spirit that people enjoy to drink, and you're part of a lot of people's lives in that way as well. Talk about the differences of the two there.
There's things that I miss about the early days. 2008 and 9 and 10, it was just me and Donnis and Fred Cook, and we brought on another guy named JD Anderson during that time frame, and it was just the 4 of us busting our ass every single day. And every single day I was worried about how we're going to pay for the next day. How are we going to buy more grain?
Yes.
How are we going to buy more barrels? And all of their jobs, and my job was in jeopardy every single day. And so you learn as a business owner very quickly, you're responsible for keeping these people employed, not just these people that work for you, but their families. You're putting beans on the table for families. And that becomes a very stressful thing in the early days. We've been very lucky. On the past 3 years, we've been able to secure some outside financing, which has set us toward profitability. And we'll be profitable this year or maybe next year for the first time in 18 years in business. So that gives me a sense of satisfaction and security. I don't have to worry so much about whether I'm going to have to say goodbye to my team and their families. So I sleep a lot better tonight now than I did back in the early days. But the early days were really scary.
Yeah, it probably made you better, though. The fact that you were scared, that's what I think always has helped me do the things that I've done. So people wonder, how do you do all these? How do you have all these different podcasts and TV shows and blogs, and you write all this stuff and all? Because I'm scared. I had a corporate job for 20 years. I don't want to go back to that. I don't want to go back to reporting to someone else and filling out reports and getting yelled at for things I didn't do and a pecking order. Yeah.
No way I would go back and work for the man again.
Yeah, me either. I can't do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's entrepreneurial ventures like this are exciting and rewarding at the same time, but they're also scary as hell in the early days. And it's a little bit of a myth. Nobody really understands that. Most entrepreneurs, before they get down the path to success, they quit themselves. They talk themselves out of it. They tell themselves it's not going to work for this reason, for that reason. And because of that, they never take the big risk. And until you take the big risk and you commit to it 100%, you're not going to be successful.
Yeah, I know what you're saying because I did that 100 times. I always wanted to do what I'm doing now, work for myself, but I was scared. I was comfortable. I had 6 weeks of vacation. I had a nice salary that came every 2 weeks, no matter how. If I had a great week, if I had a terrible week, that salary hit the bank account every 2 weeks. And but what I'm doing now is so much better. So yeah, I love hearing stories like yours. And really, I'm nothing compared to what you got going on. You're getting ready to go global here. It's exciting stuff. So really neat to have you on. Donnis, give us a little bit of idea about your background. Tell us, how you learned this industry, where you came from, and that type of thing.
Yeah, for sure. I did grow up around the distillation process. My grandfather made a little corn whiskey in Ohio. We weren't supposed to talk about it a lot, but I knew what was going on. I was kind of drawn to it. I really enjoyed the science part of it. And I had an opportunity to serve our country. I spent 10 years in the United States Air Force, and I found a great way to get out and get in the community and do things. So I just freelanced at some distilleries in Japan and Korea while I was stationed there. And I fell in love with Texas and when I was in the service and knew that that's where I wanted to hang my hat. So towards the end of my last enlistment, I started looking for, somewhere to work in Texas, and Lone Star LLC / Garrison Brothers Distillery popped up on my radar. And, things worked out. It took a little convincing to trick Dan that he couldn't do this without me. Obviously, he could have. But I tell folks all the time, I'm truly blessed. I tricked him. And, I met Dan in December of 2007. And I just, as Dan said, when you want to do something, you typically talk yourself out of it, or your security won't allow you to take that step. And I literally sold everything, put a kindergartner on the back of my Harley, and rode to Stonewall, Texas, with less than $100 in my checking account, and knew that I was going to be a master distiller for a man that I hadn't even convinced yet. And I just wouldn't take no for an answer. And, we just went over 13 years last December, and, truly blessed, worked for great people and with great people.
Very cool.
One of our mottos is never let the truth get in the way of a great story. The story behind Donnis working for us is I came back from vacation with my family, and there was a Harley Davidson parked on the front porch of the still house with bullet holes riddled through the gas tank. And I walk inside and I can't find Fred, my only employee at the time, anywhere around. I don't know where he is. Maybe he's taking a nap or something. And there's this big old dude standing in there about 6'4" with red hair down to his ass and a red beard down to his crotch, and wearing overalls and like a rice farmer hat, and he's got flame tattoos all over his body. I'm kind of scared shitless. I'm like, who the hell are you and what are you doing in my still house? He said, my name's Donnis Todd and I want to make bourbon whiskey. And I said, well, I'm sorry to break this to you, but you can't make it here because I don't have any money and I can't pay you. And he says, well, you look like a pretty smart guy. I'm sure you'll figure something out.
One way to get a job for sure.
Yeah.
Never.
That's great.
So I've also seen that Garrison Brothers has partnered with Oscar Blues Brewery and Payne Mason, a cigar company. Can you tell us a little bit about those collaborations?
We have a great guy on our staff. His name is Sam Wakefield, and his role is our social media marketing manager. So he manages our websites, he manages our email marketing, he manages a lot of our Instacart and Drizzly relationships, direct to consumer shipping relationships. So Sam is always thinking outside the box, and he's always looking for new partnerships. I think that the Payne Mason cigar partnership came through our California public relations firm, which is called Demoda, and that's been a great relationship. It's so nice to be able to have cigars in our gift shop that we can sell, or online that we can ship to people. And all of that's handled through Payne Mason. We don't actually do it. We're not handling the transaction. It's actually going through them. But if you go to our website and order the cigars, it appears completely seamless, like it's coming from Garrison Brothers. Oscar Blues is one of many great breweries that we have been able to work with over the years. We have used bourbon barrels that we got to do something with. So we often donate them or charge, $25 or $50 for a barrel. Sometimes The used barrel market goes up and down. Sometimes it's as high as $175 for a used barrel. Sometimes it's as low as 25, depending on what kind of glut there is on the marketplace. But we try to share with all the breweries that we can, and they'll make a bourbon barrel aged beer in one of our barrels. And they're always kind enough to bring us a couple of cases by at the still house. So it's a great partnership, a great relationship.
Nice. So Dan, also your brother Charlie's email says the better looking Garrison brother. Is this a fact or is it disputable?
Have you seen Charlie? Have you seen my brother Charlie?
Yeah, it says he's the better looking one is what his email says.
Well, never trust emails. Sometimes they're sitting in the middle of the night when you're too intoxicated to be sending emails. And I'm sure
I've seen him present, and this is like his opening line too. He's like, I'm Charlie Garrison, the better looking of the Garrison brothers. He throws this out all the time. Is he just trying to make the case? If he says it enough, it's true.
I know, I hear it all the time as well. And fortunately, when we're together, like we did a bourbon dinner, pairing dinner last night at the La Cantera Resort and Spa down in San Antonio, Texas, as part of our support of the Valero Texas Open. And Charles showed up at the dinner and interrupted me while I was speaking to the guests. And what I should have done, I should have taken advantage of that and say, okay, who is the better looking brother? But I didn't take advantage of that.
Put some people on the spot right there.
Yeah. Put that to rest. So, yeah.
All right, Donnis, I have a question for you too. First is about the cowboy bourbon that we tried at our flagship whiskey and blew our group away. They loved it. So can you tell our audience a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. That was a great event that we had. It's always fun to share great bourbon with great people. So again, thanks for that platform when we could all get together and let so many folks taste something that they hadn't had an opportunity to taste. And, day in and day out, I meet folks who are just absolutely blown away with cowboy bourbon. And it is just a great sipper. So we did bourbon cask strength unfiltered. And I wish I could take all the credit. I'm just the voice for the bourbon, but I can't take the credit. Texas is creating that magical juice. It gets a little hot here and every barrel leaks. And then when you put that barrel in an extreme environment, they leak a little more. So the cowboy bourbon, I tell people every day, the one we tasted with your group was the 2020 Cowboy 133.9 proof. As soon as you say 100 and you start to lose people, they think it's going to be fire water. And our cowboy bourbon, year after year, the proof changes. I always try to keep the mouthfeel, the finish the same, but you and I may taste subtle differences in that. But there's one thing you can always hang your hat on in cowboy bourbon is the proof. The flavor always overpowers the proof. I don't think any distilled spirit in your glass should ever be the other way, meaning the proof should never cover up the flavor. That's just my humble opinion, but it's made for people to enjoy in moderation. And, I wish I could take all that credit, but it's Texas beating those barrels up. That little bit of liquid left is amazing. I call them my piggy banks. That 2020 that we're talking about, that was 96 barrels that were pretty much empty that I married together. Uncut, unfiltered, turned out to be 133.9. And, just an amazing sipper that, folks continue to find and can't believe they enjoy something that high proof.
I agree. It's really great stuff. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's awesome. And another one I wanted to ask about is the Honeydew honey whiskey. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, of course. So the Honeydew is a play on words. It has nothing to do with melon. I get that. That's the number one question I get. The Honeydew is Dan had a honeydew list. Nancy, his beautiful wife, always wanted a honey infused bourbon, and that was on his honeydew list. And I would never, ever talk about anybody's product, and say that it's not good or mine's better. That's just, I wasn't raised that way. And I would never do that. I do think Garrison Brothers honey infused bourbon is done differently. And the result is people are loving it. And what I mean by that is, unfortunately, a lot of infusions in the distilled spirits world end up real syrupy, real goopy. They don't hold together on your palate. You lose what your initial base product is or was. And that was the last thing I ever wanted to do to my beautiful bourbon. And I truly believe that we found the perfect way to infuse Garrison Brothers Texas Straight Bourbon Whiskey. It is honey forward, but it's still bourbon. The mouth feels right, and it's not real syrupy. It holds together on the palate. And I continue to meet people that buy the bottle as a gift and they don't ever give it away. And when you hear those stories, you know you got a good product.
Yep, absolutely. So Dan, you started out doing the distilling. Donnis, you came on board, maybe just showed up and didn't leave. But either way, that's your realm now. But how do you guys work together? Is it still something that you collaborate on, or Dan, do you just take a step back and let Donnis do his thing? How does it work now?
Great question. We have this symbiotic relationship. It's absolutely beautiful. I love working with Donnis. I know that when I'm away, when I'm gone, when I'm on the road, he's got the entire distillery under his control, and everybody's safe. It's a safe environment. It's a friendly environment, and he gets shit done. Nobody gets shit done better than Donnis Todd. And stuff that I can't handle, I couldn't even handle myself in the early days. I mean, Donnis took over building our entire cookhouse. He just took it on. He said, I'm getting this done, and he got it done. The grain handling system, everything like that. And the best part about our relationship is that every once in a while he'll say, hey, I left a little vial of something on your desk I want you to try. And I'm like, yeah. And I'll open that sucker up. And I'm like, okay, tell me how you did it, what you did. The latest from his voodoo laboratory is called Guadalupe. And I got to taste that. And I am just absolutely blown away at how good this, I think it's the best thing he's ever made. So he comes up with the liquid. I come up with the words to describe the liquid. I work with our marketing director, Rob Cordes, to design the packaging, what the packaging is gonna look like. And then Donnis and I together come up with the tasting notes. I do a version of the tasting notes, then he does a version of the tasting notes. The tasting notes are all bullshit, and everybody knows that anyway. But we're getting pretty good at describing what the flavors are that a buyer will experience when they drink it down. So that's kind of how we work together. He does all the hard work. All I do is take the credit for it.
It's not bad. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what the visitor experience is going to be like at the distillery once we're open back up and everything.
Oh, we're open now. Bring it, people. We want you. Come on, come see it. Our slogan today is "Come break bourbon with us," and we mean that. Come down to the distillery, meet our team, share some stories, swap some stories. It's a fun time. The visitor experience kind of works like this: you can come and you can just hang out. We've got a whole hospitality area. Remember, the ranch is on 68 acres, so there's about 5 acres at the front entrance, the front gate to the ranch. That is all for hospitality. There's these beautiful big live oak trees that are all spread out. And underneath the live oak trees, we've got picnic tables, we've got rocking chairs, and you just grab a little area over there, and you can order directly from your seating area from the Whiskey Shack. So we'll bring food or drinks directly to you. We serve all of our cocktails in what we call adult sippy cups. They're like they're these 10-ounce pouches, and they're plastic, and then you stick a straw in it, and there you go. You're off to the races. And we serve all the pouches in a tin bucket with a Garrison Brothers sticker on it. So you can your pouches are sitting in a pool of ice in the bucket. And you can also take those to go if you want. And we think that's going to become a huge part of our business in the future, is to go cocktails. We're surrounded by at least 250, maybe 300 wineries in our area that are all within 30-minute drive of Garrison Brothers. So all the bachelorette parties are out there, and all the people come out on the weekends to tour the wineries, and they're going to stop at Garrison Brothers and buy a bucket full of cocktails to go. And it happens every day. It's a lot of fun to see people come through the drive-through and just get their order and take off.
Yeah.
Drive-through cocktails. I need to just drive to Texas and get that.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. You hate talking about anything good with the pandemic, but that is one of the offshoots that came out, the cocktails to go. And it's pretty much the norm almost everywhere. And a lot of places now are making it permanent. It was a temporary thing. We're in a pandemic. We're going to allow our restaurants and bars to do something different. And a lot of them are in the works of making that a permanent offering. So I think it's a neat idea for sure. Talk to us a little bit about anything that you've got in the works. What anything that we can expect to see coming out? You mentioned Guadalupe. Is that going to be something that we can purchase as consumers here coming up, or what's going on?
Yes, it is. May 8th is our next big special release. That's going to be Laguna Madre. This will be the second time Laguna Madre's come out.
Yep.
Last time we released Laguna Madre was 2020, and we were right in the middle of the whole COVID bullshit. So we did something a little different. A lot of restaurant workers across the state had lost their jobs, and all the restaurants were shut down. And so what we did, instead of actually selling Laguna Madre, is we gave it away. Anybody that made a $1,000 donation to Good Bourbon for a Good Cause, which is our public 501c3 charity, anybody that made a donation to that money would go to bartenders and servers and chefs that were out of work. And we made contributions to the Texas Restaurant Association Employee Fund. We made contributions to Southern Smoke Foundation. And we actually made 53 direct contributions to bartenders and waiters and servers that we knew in Central Texas. So we raised almost, I think, well over $400,000 for those organizations by giving away the first release of Laguna Madre. This time we're going to be selling it from our gift shop. We're also going to be selling it through the distribution channels. It will be highly allocated. How many bottles of Laguna Madre are you expecting, Donnis?
We'll get close to about 2,000 bottles.
Okay.
So we'll probably sell about 1,000 of those direct from the distillery, and we'll have one of those big drive-through days that have become legendary at Garrison Brothers Distillery. We'll have 450 trucks lined up on the road to get in as soon as we open the gates at 8 o'clock. And Donnis and I will be driving up and down the road, passing out shots of bourbon throughout the evening. The next morning, we're going to bring them all breakfast tacos and kolaches. So we'll open up the gates at 8. We'll probably sell out 1,000 bottles out by 11 o'clock in the morning.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's coming on May 8th. Guadalupe is July 24. That's going to be another drive-through thing. How many bottles of that you think, Donnis?
Yeah, I hope to get about 4,000 bottles. It's a beautiful port finish, Steve, is what Guadalupe is. It's so just a beautiful, beautiful 4 to 5 year old wheater that I finished in some wet port barrels for another 2 years. And the mouthfeel is it's very sensual. It's I'm really excited for folks. I think it's going to end up being, just another bourbon and GB stall that we can't make enough of. I think people are really going to be surprised at just how well we have learned the craft of finishing bourbons in Texas. That Dan was mentioning the Laguna Madre, and to see Texans donate $1,000 and line up for it to help other Texans, that really makes you feel good. But at the end of the day, I think it was worth every penny of that donation. And I know they didn't do it for anything other than to help Texans, but I still wanted them to have an amazing takeaway. And that Laguna Madre is really, really special. Did a 4-year finish in brand new French oak. And French oak is known to bring a vanilla bean to your product. We gave it the time it needed. So 8 years in Texas is, a lifetime anywhere else for liquid, and very, very special. So we continue to give folks these amazing experiences, and excited. I could talk to you hours about stuff that we have in our rick houses, but we'll save that for another tasting or another group. But there's some pretty special stuff that we have aging in our barns, and can't wait for folks to taste and enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to partner up with you on that too. When you're ready to do that, let us know, and we can set something up with our fans. That'd be great. So Garrison Brothers has been around a long time now. In the craft world, it's ancient. I mean, you guys have been doing this a long time. So I think we can start talking about things 5 and 10 years down the road. So where do you see the company going from here?
I think that we're entering control states right and left for the first time in our history. We've always intentionally avoided control states like the plague because they're so difficult to work with. The state government-owned retailers in those states, they have rules. They won't permit you to come in and do tastings for the customers. They won't let you come in and sell. They won't let you come in and write notes on the bottles. It's just kind of ridiculous. And so we've been sending a case to North Carolina once a month and a case to Utah once a month. And so we've entered a lot more of them now. Now we're in Wyoming, we're in Montana, we're in North Carolina, we're entering Ohio and Michigan. And so that's going to be a learning experience for us. We do not have a whole lot of new bourbon ideas on the horizon that we can talk about yet. Donnis and I have maybe one or two that we're both kind of thinking about, but we haven't got started on them. We see our portfolio becoming what it is today. Our workhorse is going to be Garrison Brothers small batch bourbon, and the boot flask version of our small batch. And then our single barrel bourbon, which is all the barrels that don't have quite the right flavor profile for our small batch. If it tastes like cloves or figs or cinnamon or nutmeg, I'm going to separate that out for the single barrel program. Honeydew is definitely going to be one of the key drivers of growth for us in the future. Our cowboy bourbon will make a little bit more every year, but not a whole lot more. And Laguna Madre is always going to be a very small release. It'll just be a couple thousand bottles each year. So Donnis has also introduced High Rye. We introduced that last year. And the High Rye was an amazing success. Everybody wants it, but we're just going to have to be patient because it takes a long time to do a rye whiskey in Texas.
Yeah. All right. Well, if I think people want to follow the journey, want to learn more, where can they go to do that? I'm talking websites, social media, whatever you'd like to share.
www.garrisonbros.com is a wealth of information. There's also some wonderful videos on there that really kind of tell people what we're all about. If you've got the time to sit down and watch Dayton talk about the single barrel experience, I watched Donnis walk you through the release of Balmorhea. You can also see some of those amazing lines full of trucks waiting to get in the gate to get a new bottle from us. So definitely check out the videos on www.garrisonbros.com. That's probably the best source of information.
Okay. Donnis, anything you want to add to that?
No, of course, we're on all the social media platforms, and, it's not that I'm encouraging people to have their phone in their hand even more, but, there's tons going on Facebook and Instagram and all of those things. Something that I just want to make sure that folks know is, Dan and I, we haven't faltered. We haven't changed our motto not one time. When I convinced Dan to let me make his bourbon for him and his brother, he said, we're going to make better bourbon every day. And I still think we do that. And we may not have 1,000 SKUs someday, but I promise you that we're taking the steps to make a better bourbon every single day. We have 11 years of data of releases, and we continue to analyze and study and use outside independent labs to create custom barrels. We continue to make a better bourbon every day. So we may not end up with every SKU in the world, but I promise you, in those 5 or 10 years, Garrison Brothers is only going to get better and better and better.
Fair enough. McNew, how about you? Where can people find you?
I am on Instagram at McNewABV.
For me, I'm an easy guy to find at Steve Akeley on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. The important website for us, though, is abvnetwork.com. That's the one you need to check out. We've got over 2,000 shows out there for you to download and listen to. We've got our events that we do. We've got our blogs and so much more, abvnetwork.com. McNew, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I'd like to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review that includes comments. It helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. And if you like what we're doing, we ask that you please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theABVNetwork.
Dan and Donnis, thanks so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
We love what you're doing too. Thanks, y'all. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Steve.
Thanks,
absolutely. For audience, we have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace. Well, that was great, guys.